here. We have YouTube and Facebook. So if you see me looking down here, that's why. And if you see me looking up there, that's why, because there's 2 channels. And I also have notes because there's no way I could remember everything I want to cover if I didn't write some of it down. So we're going to talk about the new moon in Sagittarius. It's a new moon today in both true sidereal and tropical astrology. I mean, the new moon always occurs at the same time. It's just oftentimes the sign is off. This time it's not, and that's because in mainstream astrology, they are in late Sagittarius. They're about to approach Capricorn season. So they have a late stage new moon, whereas with true sidereal, it actually the sun just entered Sagittarius at almost midnight on December 17th, my time, mountain time. And that's according to the true sky, like where the sun is placed now. And that's what I talk about. I talk about true sidereal because I want to work with the living sky. I don't want to be working with some sky they froze 2,000 years ago for some reason that I don't even know why. So I look at True Sidereal. If you're interested in finding out your chart, you can go to masteringthezodiac.com. Masteringthezodiac.com will generate a free natal chart under True Sidereal. If you don't know your time of birth, it just won't give you your rising sign. That's the only thing that it can't give you because it moves too much, right? It's moving every 1 to 3 hours, depending on the sign. And it's, just slightly less than 2 hours. But so to me, it's important, right? We should be working with things that are real and true and what the living sky is actually telling us. We shouldn't be going by, I don't understand why we would not do listen to what the sky is doing, or wouldn't do our rituals, or if we're working with the sky, why we wouldn't work with it in the true capacity that it is. So I do Christic soul readings. You have to make an appointment with me. There's a free clarity call available on my website if you're interested in anything to do with learning more about you from the Christic astrology and Christic soul stream thing, as opposed to mainstream astrology, which they really make it more of a personality thing. So I do the living sky, and then I remove all the distortions and all the illusions out of mainstream astrology. And that's why I call it Christic astrology, because it's outside of any of the distortions that have been put into it. So what I mean by distortions are, there's been a lot of negativity that's been placed in, whether it's the signs or the celestial bodies like the planets, where if you are believing that you are a Virgo, let's say, in mainstream astrology, they make Virgo seem very highly critical, super detailed oriented, possibly OCD. They really make them seem like perfectionists. And that equates into relationships. So people that are Virgo in their chart, they believe that they're highly critical in relationships, and that they're perfectionists, and that they are more likely to have OCD. And what this creates is, it creates a situation where if you identify as someone that's Virgo, you adopt those characteristics, thinking that that's how you're supposed to be. And sometimes that gives us a license to just be the way that that we're not meant to be, right? Be critical, right? You just get this free pass because, well, I'm Virgo, so I'm critical. I'm Sagittarius, so I'm blunt. I'm Pisces, so I'm wishy-washy. I'm Gemini, so I'm two-faced. I'm, there's all these negative things that are seated within each of the signs and the planets. So I take those things out and look at the truth of what they are. So today's a new moon in Sagittarius, as I was saying, and we're going to talk about the rest of the alignments and a bunch of things. We're just going to talk about a bunch of things. I was also meditating last night and channeling stuff surrounding embodiment, because that's what the course is that I'm teaching January 9th. It's Bridge to Light Phase 2. So I was channeling and really just trying to come to a really clear understanding about what embodiment means. So I'll talk about that today. In Christic astrology, we have covered what your placements mean. So what it means when the planet transitions through the 12 gates and 13th sign, which is Ophiuchus. And we've transitioned through what happens when the sun, the moon, the rising, Mercury, Venus, Mars, and I think we're now at Jupiter. Yeah, I'm pretty sure we were doing Jupiter today, which would have been better to do Jupiter yesterday because that's its day. Anyway, we're going to talk about all of this good stuff and check in with the living sky. So let's see what the living sky is doing on this wonderful new moon. We have the sun in Sagittarius. The moon enters Sagittarius at 15:31 my time, so 3:31. I'm not quite there yet. The moon hasn't moved into the sign of Sagittarius, so we haven't hit that new moon point. Mercury and Venus are both in Ophiuchus, and Mars is in Sagittarius as well. So that means that we have five placements, 3 in one sign, which is Sagittarius at 3:31, and then we have 2 signs that are in Ophiuchus. So that's a lot of energy. We also have Jupiter in Gemini, Saturn in Aquarius, Uranus in Taurus, Neptune in Pisces, and Pluto in Capricorn. Biddy boop. Hot princess. Hello everybody. So the new moon in Sagittarius does not arrive quietly. It arrives like this cosmic spark, igniting our remembrance of our divine momentum. So it's going to get us in alignment with what we actually came here to do. And for many of us, we've been sitting on it for a long time. We're like, I'm going to start that business, or yeah, I'm going to create these things, or yeah, I'm going to make this move, or I'm going to do, and then we just don't. Right? Sometimes we'll be like, yeah, I'm going to start working out, right? I'm going to start working out. 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 And we don't. So this moon is the sacred flame of becoming. And it's also combining, like I said, the sun, moon, and Mars being in Sagittarius at the same time. So this is the lunar gateway of activation, vision, and propulsion. We are steaming straight ahead. You are being asked to rise, not by force, but by sacred clarity. So that's what we've been doing with the energies of all of the celestial bodies before this, in working with what they were showing us through their alignments and their placements. What they were showing us was this opportunity for us to get real with ourselves, to get real with our environment, to get real with our relationships, and to get real with the direction that we're heading. And then we were rebirthing ourselves in this Phoenix energy. And now we're at Sagittarius, where we're meant to be going forward with that clarity of our direction. So if you weren't doing those things, you need to get to that point, because this is what it's asking you to do. To check on the temperature so I can turn my little heater on. I got to keep my tea hot. So Sagittarius is the archer, but it is also the flame bearer, right? It's a fire sign. It is the only it's the only sign with the actual weapon, which is kind of a little bit of the joke. So it does not tolerate confusion rooted in fear, because it wants to aim you at your highest path. It does not want to take your soul's arrow and go, that'll do. Or more of the same, please. Unless you're doing exactly what you want to do and you're loving your life, and then definitely that arrow is going to be pointing true into more of the same, please. But oftentimes we ignore the patterns that keep coming up, and we just wonder why they keep coming up. And the reason why they come up is because you're not doing something to address them. You're not taking action, or you're not integrating some aspect of it. So you're lacking that embodiment portion. And that's why many of us fail at the things that we want to do, is because we're not embodying the truth of what we need to in order to be what it is that we want to have. And all of our belief systems and everything else that's tied up around that. There's definitely action that needs to be taken, and you have to embody it. You have to live it, the truth. So we are cutting through distortion because we are in that phase of embodied truth, or we should be. And if not, then you need to get to that spot, right? Because if you're not aiming true, then where's your aim? And if you're not in clarity, then that means that you're probably in confusion. And why are you in confusion? There can be a variety of reasons why. Right? So we stand at a threshold where celestial fire meets earthly form. What you set in motion now is going to carry long range impact, because what Sagittarius does is pass off to Capricorn, and Capricorn's like that big dad energy. Capricorn is about your long-term visions. It's about legacy. It's about accomplishments. Like, it takes that and to the top of the mountain and puts the flag, right? Like, that's Capricorn energy. And so we want to be aiming true when we hand it off to Capricorn. Because if Capricorn's not headed in the right direction, then Capricorn can be quite destructive energy, right? So we stand at the threshold of this, and we need to be choosing with reverence. And we need to be speaking with power, like you're sitting in your integrity, you're in your alignment, and you're speaking from that space of sovereignty or authority. And you're moving with integrity, because it has to be both. You have to be in integrity in what you're saying and what you're doing. So find out what that integrity is for you. Yours may be different than mine completely. I mean, it's going to be different somewhat, but it may be completely different. And that's what you're meant to do, is find your truth and live your truth. Some truths are absolute truths, right? There are absolutely divine laws that exist. And there are universal truths that exist as well. But there are a lot of distortions that are built into society and into our entire framework here. And with those distortions that are built in, we need to get clear with what is our truth amidst that, and keep delving into the depths to find out more of your truth, right? We're not here to just, unfortunately, it's not, I talk about this frequently, or I talk about this at least sometimes on my channel. And this is one of those times, right? We think that we came down here to have a human experience, which we did. We came down here to put spirit into form and to really bring heaven to earth through marrying our spirit with our body. And that happens when you remember who and what we are and how we're meant to live and what we came here to do, like what you assigned for yourself, what you chose for yourself. But many people will tell you that we came here to have the human experience, saying that what we're currently living is the example of the human experience. That we came down to, to interact with drugs and alcohol and porn, and we came down to work, and we came down to, do all of these things. That's not the human experience. That's a distortion. That's not how we're meant to live. We have to be able to see that at some point, that if you can measure society, which you're supposed to measure. I used to work as the director of nursing and senior management for a hospital in long-term care when I was a nurse. And when I worked in that field, you would determine the quality of your nursing staff by the members who felt that they were on the lowest of the thing, right? So if your employees were really dissatisfied, if your employees were making lots of errors, if you're, you would be looking at those measures. So that always reflects back to me as well. What are those measures are a reflection of me as a manager, as well as the individual employee and the unit as a whole, because there are often times when, there's an eat your young kind of mentality, and they may just have like a little bit of a tiff with somebody or a misunderstanding. And next thing you know, you've got like this little bullying situation. You have to be able to read all of those things. And I lost my train of thought. I lost where I was headed with that, but I think I was making a point. And so we're going to step on from that. But we're meant to live in integrity and speak in integrity. I know I was talking about that at some point. So let's look at the keys of the sky that we have going on right now. So when the moon moves into Sagittarius, we are going to have a Sagittarius stellium. A stellium is whenever you have 3 or more planets in the same sign. And there's other stelliums, but it's the triad. So it's a sacred triad of ignition when you have Sagittarius in these 3 places, right? The sun is your expression. The moon is your emotional landscape, and fire and Mars is your forward momentum. That's your drive, your passions. So having all of these in the same alignment, it's really, this moon is for declaring quests. Like, think about Sagittarius energy. Declaring quests. It's about activating your soul missions, and it's about walking forward in faith, right? Not fear. We're walking forward in faith. And if there's fear that's there, find out why the fear is there and face it, right? Because oftentimes it's just your ego looking at the rear or at the past, right? Driving, looking in reverse is what we say with the ego, but it's looking in the rear view mirror at the very least, going, this is what happened before, so I can anticipate that that's what's going to happen if this scenario is the same again. So if I was laughed at when I did a public speaking thing, then my belief would be that I'm going to be laughed at again. And so my ego is going to want me not to do that. It still doesn't want me to be laughed at. My ego is protecting me. I get it. Thank you. I appreciate that. But you need to be the passenger in the car. You can't be driving it. I don't want to be driving from someone that's predicting from the past and limiting my future because of situations that happened, because that stops you from growing. How do I know that the next time that I speak, that what happened last time doesn't promote me to take more time preparing my speech? Maybe I, work with somebody so I can learn how to speak, or I join a group or a club or something like that, right? Those things that happen are meant to propel you into the next level and through change, right? Or when we meet those challenges or things that come up against us and they hit us, we're meant to look at those things and go, ooh, why did that affect me so much? Like I was saying yesterday, if somebody does something and I flip a table and break all my stuff, I need to look at why that makes me that upset. What is that? Because if someone can make me, through my emotions, do this, think what they can control me to do. Like, that's crazy that someone can make me do that. Nobody makes you do it. You do it. And you need to take that responsibility of those emotions and say, why am I responding this way? Where is this coming from? Is that person doing something like my abusive father used to do, and it's making me feel, like I'm a 3-year-old child and I'm having, this reaction through my body, this flood of chemicals, and that's why I don't know how to manage these emotions. So what do I need to do with this energy? I need to disperse it. Great. Disperse it. Worry about it afterwards, right? Well, that's just learning what is the trigger and how to distinguish those emotions without doing it the way that you've been doing it. So learning a new way. And it's not because you're a bad person or you're flawed or there's something wrong with you. We were raised by parents that didn't teach us the very skills that we needed to be very stable adults. So thank you. Now, but that doesn't change the fact that that's something that you now have to do. Okay. So this one is, we need to, on this new moon, you want to declare your devotion aloud, because the fire responds to sound and vow. When we're working with fire energy, we want to be speaking out loud as much as possible, not in your head, right? Like we really do want that extra, the energy of the sound, and doing rituals with fire under fire is a great idea. We want to be writing our truth and then burning it, right? We're offering it to the fire. This is not about releasing it, it's sending it. So think of it as you're sending it into the flame, right? The Sagittarius flame that is governing this new moon. You also want to be thinking of the energy that fire has. So fire is dancing. Fire is moving your body. It's walking, running, breathing fire. It's like literally allowing yourself to express energy and passion, desire, all of that. So let the sacred motion carry your codes into the field. We also have Mercury and Venus in Ophiuchus. So remember, this is that resurrection energy. And we have our thoughts, which is Mercury, which is our communication. And we have Venus, which is our love. And it's like the way that we love or the way that we receive love. It is our beauty. It's our desires. It's how we receive. So all of that comes up with those two being in Ophiuchus, is that we want the truth of the truth because we're rising from the ashes. We're letting go of the stuff that's not aligned with this version of us, with the identity that we have. So your voice and your love must be encoded with remembrance. This is not a moon for performance. It is a moment that you're going to speak with sacred integrity, even if your voice shakes. You can do it. I've done it. I still do it. Right? There's so many times when, like you're still moving through layers, right? Even when, like people might stop on your channel and they might think, oh, maybe you're at a, like they have their own perceptions about where they think that you are. But I still will rub up against things that brush up against the traumas and stuff that I had, that I have to look at and go, why is that there? Why do I feel that way? And then I have to release that energy and I have to refresh it with what should be there, right? With the truth. So you want to repattern love at a cellular level. So where you once conformed before, you're now claiming it. You're like, we're not playing games. We're doing the truth here, right? Because you're going to be anchoring that truth in your heart without apology. Your thoughts, the communications, your love, relationships, desires are all aligned in this truth energy. So it's going to be an interesting time. We have Jupiter in Gemini, which is all about expansion. And this expansion key is in the mirror of your own duality, because Gemini really does have that duality. Also, the fact that it is opposing Sagittarius energy because they sit across from each other in placement. So if we have a full moon in Sagittarius, then the moon is if the sun's in Sagittarius, the moon's in Gemini. That's how they line up. So the expansion key is in the mirror of your own duality. Sagittarius is asking you, what do you believe? Because remember, Sagittarius is about truth. It wants to be true and then send you off in that direction with that fire energy. Gemini is, are you living it? Because are you? Because that's a bit of the contradiction, right? Many people, they have done a lot of education, a lot of learning. They may have read a lot of books. They might have done a lot of even therapy, and maybe they've done a lot of talk therapy. But maybe they're not actually doing what they say they should be doing, right? Right now, a big content piece that's been coming up for me, or something that's coming up from all over the place, and it's even what the Hidden Earth podcast is about this week, was about words and language and the power of all of that, and how grammar is, etymology is the grimoire. You have cursive, cursing, and you have spelling, right? So just the way that, words have power. And it's but how many people are creating content, or how many people are sharing content around these topics, but are they actually doing it in their lives? Are they looking at the words that they should be speaking and the ones that they shouldn't be speaking? And are they standing in integrity on that? Or do they just recognize that that makes sense and it's true? Logically, I know that, and I send out the content around that, or I create the content around that, but am I doing it? Right? And that's where we need to be reconciling those contradictions. So say what you mean and mean what you say, and expand your vision through integration, right? This is about living it. We are in the embodiment stage, right? So many people talk about creating the new earth, but what are you doing to create it? I've been talking about this for a while, right? What am I doing to create it? I'm creating education. What am I doing to create it? Sacred reciprocity at my website. So if you cannot afford it through monetary means, we can talk, and there may be another way that we can energetically make this a fair trade. There's many things that maybe you don't even realize that we could exchange and that would work for both of us. So I'm creating these structures and I'm living the truth of what I'm supposed to live. I'm living an embodied life. So, but what are you doing? Right? That's the question. We all say we want this new earth, but what are you doing to create it? And if you believe that you have a passion, a mission, a purpose, or anything like that, well, are you living it? And if not, why are you delaying? Why why are you delaying? There's people that are waiting for you. There are people that need you to offer your services because your energy is going to resonate in your circles. And then those people are going to wake up. And the more embodied you become, the more that Mother Gaia herself wakes up, the more that people around you will wake up. So if there's something that you know you're meant to do, you know you're meant to embody, then what are you waiting for? Because you're holding everybody else back too. It's like dominoes. So Saturn in Aquarius and Neptune in Pisces. So these two energies. Oh, thank you. So these two carry the architecture of the sacred dream, right? Think about Pisces and Neptune, which is its home, like Neptune governs Pisces. Saturn governs Capricorn, so it's not in its home sign, but it's in the sign of Aquarius. So under this moon, you can align your structure with your spirit. So meditate, ask yourself, what does the perfect day look like for me? Or if I was abundant, what would I do? Like if I never had a worry in the world about any expenses or about my survival or my safety, what would I do every day? Right? And that's what you should be doing every day. You should be acting, you should be embodying the energy of that particular reality, right? That's what we're meant to do. That's how we create it, is by living it. So we have to live it, guys. Right? Align with those places. If you think that we should be living in communities, all coming together, then either create that community or find that community and that you belong within. Right? If you think that sacred reciprocity and bartering and all of that should be a way that we transfer or exchange goods, then create those particular things, right? Create them so that they're available. That's what we're meant to do. You can't do it if you don't do it. It makes so much sense. So you can design timelines with your oversoul, or that serve your oversoul, right? We're bringing our oversoul into form, and that is by building that invisible bridge, right? The bridge is what we're doing. We're bridging our oversoul by embodying it. So Pluto is also in Capricorn and Uranus in Taurus, so we can cover those couple planets as well. The Earth frequencies are holding the restructuring field, which what we're anchoring now in devotion, right? It has to be in devotion. Capricorn is very devoted energy. And Pluto is very long-term, right? And so is Capricorn. We also have, so anyway, this is going to, before I get off on, forget what I was going to finish off on that statement. So what you anchor in devotion now is going to impact the way you live, the way you work, the way you serve, and the way that you root into earth. So let that earth fire, or sorry, that fire alchemize your foundations. Thinking about Taurus being earth. So we have an embodiment rite to do, because you know me, I have a couple embodiment things for us to do today, because we're talking about embodiment. So we can do those things. I'm going to share this particular embodiment rite in the Temple of Light, which is a free membership group on my website, which is on Sha'Ryah.com. So you can go and check that out. And if you need a reminder, it's completely free. You're not being spammed with anything. That if you want to go check it out, you go check it out. The other thing that I would like to ask is, for those that are watching, can you please tap on the screen? Because unfortunately, TikTok responds to engagement. And if nobody's talking in the live, if nobody's liking the live, if nobody's sharing the live, then they're going to think, wow, that's a boring live, or they're not going to want to promote me at the end of the day. So you are a huge factor in whether or not I reach other people. So if you're watching, please tap the screen. Okay. Hi, John. Long time no see. How are you doing? And if you passed on by, love to you, friend. All right. So our embodiment rite, we are going to do the sacred arrow ceremony, which I'm going to talk about it so that you can do it. We're not going to physically do it right now. You can only do, I mean, you could have a candle, but anyway, in this rite, we would light a candle. Maybe I should. Let's just do it. We'll get our candle here. I have the space to do this. And I have the supplies. So just give me a second. All right. I have a candle. You can't see it because it's not standing up tall enough for you, but it's there. You might see the light that comes from it. I don't know. We'll see. Oh, maybe. So it's not far off from the candle. I have this beautiful beeswax candle. And my bowl. We put our extinguished. There. Candle. Okay, so we have a candle lit. So you can actually do this. We'll just do it. All right, so you can see the candle. I'm going to hold it up for you so you can see it. And you're just going to breathe deeply. Okay, you can keep looking at the candle for now. Just keep breathing deeply. And what you want to do is just sink into the space that's coming up when you're breathing deeply. And because we're going to do this on the air, it's going to be slightly different than the one that's going to be in the group. Because what I want you to do is to sink into that space and really connect with your higher self, your oversoul. And I want you to say, I dedicate this cycle to, and then listen to what comes up. Okay. When you write it down, you want to include a vow, and one that rises from your soul, not from the surface. And you're going to speak that 3 times. And then you'd burn it with your fire. Or you could bury it in the earth. I couldn't do that here. Oh my God, it's so cold, guys. Or you can put it on your altar until the full moon. Okay, so it would stay on for that 2-week cycle. What we're doing is we're allowing that fire to carry the vow into the ethers and letting the stars align with your remembrance. So the flame that walks forward, this moon is not passive, right? It does not wait. It opens the gate and asks, will you walk through as who you really are? You are the fire. You are the voice. You are the sacred arrow. Like, you're the sacred arrow. What are you waiting for? Let your devotion aim true. If my friend Carol was here, I would ask her, and she would say, I would ask her what our favorite saying is about devotion, and she would say that discipline is devotion to your highest timeline or your highest self, right? Your highest frequency. So you have to let your body become the prayer. Hello, Leslie. How are you? Let your life be the vow that you said that you were going to walk, right? You said you made a plan. It's time to do it. It's time to be it, right? I'm thinking about it. Yeah, I'll have a nice big ritual that I'll put inside the Temple of Light that will really expand on just that little bit that we talked about here. But I have other things that I want to talk about anyway. I had a really good, so we're going to talk a little bit more about like Sagittarius moon, but in a different capacity. We're going to shift a little bit of the way that we're going to talk about it. This is about the becoming. So anchoring the truth into the body. Today we arrive at that new moon in Sagittarius, which is right in the center of this 5-day corridor between emotional truth and rebirth. In 2 days, we have solstice. So this new moon is not about wishing, it's about choosing, right? A lot of moons, and in mainstream, they'll have manifestation on a new moon and you just wish, right? That's not what this moon is about. This moon is about choosing the direction. So what you choose today is not a goal, it is an identity. So who do you want to become? And who do you need to become to be the person that you are? It's not about becoming somebody new, right? Many people will, I'm going to be this person, I'm going to be this, or I'm going to be that. You just have to become you, which is just remembering who you are and remembering what you came here to create. You probably came here to do something, or at least, you came here just to be. So what did you come here to be? Joyful, loving, truthful, aligned, right? So you still need to get to that. It's that identity. So this new moon is arriving after days of emotional revelation and release. We've been moving and truth surfacing because, like I said, we've been moving through the other signs, and those other signs have been trying to get us to wake up or to work with them in the ways that they have been aligned through the sky. That's a lot of energy for us to work with. So many of us don't even pay attention to it. We just get up and go to bed, and we don't understand why we have some of the cycles or some of the things that are going on because we're not looking at it. So the sky is giving us that opportunity. It's saying, okay, right now we're going to be looking at the truth of the truth, or right now we're going to be looking at our relationships. Right now, the energy that's coming up is this. And it gives you the opportunity to integrate the truth and live as you're meant to live. By working through things as you're moving through the energies appropriately. So the Scorpio energy we have been moving through stripped away what was false, because we've had many planets transition through the Scorpio sign. We had Venus, we had Mercury. I think even at one point early on, we had Mars. We definitely had the moon, and obviously not that long ago, the sun was actually in Sagittarius, right? We just moved through Ophiuchus season, which is a shorter season. Let me say, I think it went from December 29th. No, sorry, from November 29th to December 17th. So it's 18 days, right? It's a shorter sign. So the planet transitions through that. And many mainstream or other astrologies or, I guess astrologies don't even consider the 13th sign. So Sagittarius is asking us a different question, though. It's asking us, where are you going? What do you stand for? What truth are you willing to live? And what path are you actually walking? Right? This moon does not reward fantasy. It responds to integrity. So, in the true sidereal skies, Sagittarius is not about positivity, right? That's one of the things that Sagittarius gets, is that happy-go-lucky, but also blunt, but freedom-loving, and so on and so forth. Doesn't, unstable in relationships. Like, it has all of these different distortions that are built into it. But the truth is, or the truth about Sagittarius is it's about truth alignment. Sagittarius governs direction, devotion, belief systems, ethics, personal law, and the path that you live by. So this moon is asking you to update your inner law. So it's not what you say you believe, it's what you actually live. Everything you're taking action on is what you're saying you want more of. That's more of what you want your life to look like. Right? And if your life isn't looking like you want it to look, then you need to look at what is it that you have to change, right? What is it that's out of alignment? What is it that's missing the mark? Because something is. Either you're holding on to a relationship, an identity, a belief, a trauma, a job, something that's keeping you out of alignment. And that'll show up in a variety of ways. It can show up in, injury. It can show up in illness. It can show up in relationship problems. It can show up in job problems. It can show up in money problems. It can show up in a whole host of ways. Addiction. And addiction can be an addiction to anything, right? It's anything over what, like, it's anything that you can't stop yourself from doing. Like, so what do you guys think? I should put my candle out, not leave it there burning for too long. All right. So I teach the Christic way. That's what I call the stuff that I teach. And what I mean by Christic is outside of dogma, religion, government, politics, all of that stuff. I seek out the stuff beyond distortion, and I teach that. I teach you to have a relationship with yourself, and through that relationship, your spirituality, all of that. I'm not a savior. You're not, nobody's a savior for anybody else. We're all our own saviors. So anyway, the Christic way does not teach intention as desire. That's what the mainstream teaches manifestation at. You just have to want it bad enough and then sit in the feelings of having it, and that's it. Like you can kumbaya whatever you want to your doorstep. UPS delivers, and it's going to deliver your manifestation right to you. And while things can happen in a very miraculous way, and you need to keep yourself open to miracles so that they do continue to exist, you can't, if you close yourself off, that's it, they're done, right? You're the one that's blocking that. So believe in miracles, believe that they do exist, believe that these one-offs can happen, and that's that. But that's not it's like that. There was the movie, what was it called? He's Just Not That Into You. And they talk about all these, relationship stigmas, right? Or whatever, the way that girls are with their friends, and they'll be like, oh my God, my girlfriend, she met this guy, and like they'll be like, he hasn't called me in 5 days, right? We had a great date, like he's not calling me back, maybe he doesn't like me, it's been like 3 weeks. and her friend will go, oh my God, my girlfriend, she didn't, like, she had the same thing. She had this great date and he didn't call her back. Turns out he was in a coma. Like, there's still hope, right? Like how we delude ourselves to think that the one-off is the one that's going to happen to us, and it keeps us like spiraling in a space. So you have to take action on things. You can't just sit and wait for the just wait in space thinking and on it. Like, you have to do something. You have to take that action. So it teaches that intention as coherence, and that an intention only holds power when your body agrees, when your nervous system can hold it, when your energy is aligned with it, when your actions support it, and when your identity matches it. These are all big things. Many of us are so disconnected from our bodies because we are not even engaging with our physical bodies. We are running around, going to work. Like, I don't celebrate Christmas, and I think about those people that are running around at this store and that store and this party and that party and this thing and that thing and making this and making that. And now they've got parents moving a stupid elf all over their house. And this is some, like, and it's not a good thing. It's spiritually a bad thing, but they've got all these things that are going on. And I just can't imagine living like that. Like, that to me is just, no, thank you. No, thank you. My body doesn't agree with that. My body agrees with this. My body agrees with, I'm going to, after I'm done my life, take my dog for a, in very cold weather. It is very, very, very cold outside. Like, we're looking at minus 42, minus 43, like in below minus 40. Like, that's just, tonight it's going to be below minus 50. Which brings me to my other thing. I have Hugs for Homeless, which is my nonprofit. So if you have anything that you can give, anything at all to help us build more backpacks to get into community, please consider donating to hugsforhomeless.com. Every dollar that we receive will go further because we have partnered with a wholesale bulk supplier of the things that we need to make these backpacks, with toques or hats if you're somewhere else, with gloves, with blankets, with all kinds, like with hygiene products, with, even feminine products for women. And we make sure that we include them in the men's packs because, the likelihood that a man is going to encounter another female that is homeless is very high. And plus, there's other things that you can use menstrual pads for. If you got an injury, they make a great bandage, right? I would have told men that back as a nurse, right? If you got a bloody nose, you can put a tampon in your nose and it does clot it really well. Like, if you broke your nose, just saying. So if you're not doing all of these things or they're not aligned, then intention is actually self-betrayal because you're not in alignment with your truth. Right? So even though you're setting an intention, it's misaligned, and that's just betrayal. Let's say you're in a relationship and the relationship is not the right relationship, because let's say you're one of those ones that has those cyclical breakups, right? Big, huge fight, toxic behaviors, and all of that stuff. And then, like, you find your way to just stick it out, just get back together. Things are going to be different this time, and you're just in one of those patterns, right? It's not aligned. The pattern is telling you it's not aligned. Something has to change. If it's a relationship, like I just mentioned, then it's two people who have to make changes, not just one. It's never one-sided. Give me 1 second. The sun's coming in and it's hitting me, and I'm wearing a lot of black because it's minus 40 something outside, but inside it's not. So I have to just take my sweater off. Which still leaves me in black, but at least it's one less layer of black. So I may be a little bit better. So this is why so many new moon intentions fail. One, you're not working with the living sky. You're working with some sky that was frozen 2,000 years ago. So it's not even, the sun's not in the right sign, the moon's not in the right sign. Although, like I said, this is a moment in time when that actually does happen, where mainstream astrology has a late stage Sagittarius new moon. We have an early stage new moon in True Sidereal, because the moon isn't even in Sagittarius yet. It goes in at, and the Sagittarius the sun just went into Sagittarius at almost midnight, December 17th. So this is a very early stage new moon. Whereas for mainstream astrology, like I said, we're just about to enter Capricorn season, right? So we're at the end of Sagittarius season, and that's why it's a late stage new moon for mainstream astrology. So they ended up in the same sign, and part of that's because Ophiuchus is a smaller sign, right? So it transits through Ophiuchus a little bit faster than. Anyway, it doesn't matter. It's where we are. Okay. So from intention to embodiment. Embodied intention sounds like this. Okay. It's, I live as the person who values truth. So that's all you become, as a truth seeker, right? When something doesn't align with the truth, you align yourself with what the truth is in that. And you know it's the truth when you're connected to your body. You have to do that too. That's a big part. Okay, let's go back to that for a minute. If you've been disassociated for your whole life, right, because of traumas, and I was somebody that was like that. I was very disassociated from my body, which is why when I used to be overwhelmed with emotion, I would do things like pound my arms on a counter. And I probably did fracture or bones, a couple of times in doing that. The thing is I was so disassociated from my body, or just like I wasn't feeling my body. So to do those things was easier to do. And because I didn't have I didn't have that demonstration of how to manage emotions or soothe myself, because I wasn't taught. So I was letting it out the only way that I knew how, or that overwhelm of emotion would come out. And I lost where I was going with that. Oh, so anyway, through the healing process, you begin to connect to your body, and you begin to learn the way that you're meant to release energy, right? You learn that, one, it's okay to cry. It's okay to go and cry. Nobody, like, honestly, just go in your bedroom, shut the door, and just cry. If you feel like crying, just cry and let it out. It's, if you're angry, right? How are you dispersing that energy? What are you doing to release and to transmute the energies that are in your body? And until you feel your body, you're not feeling those energies the way that you should be. You're not feeling them. And we numb out and avoid. We numb out through drugs, food, exercise, work, gossip, like so many things that we distract ourselves and avoid ourselves and fill ourselves with, so that we stay disconnected. Because like I said, our ego, maybe currently, if you're, some people, their ego is still driving the bus, and the ego drives looking down the road we just came down going, well, yep, that's what's going to happen. Yep. Okay. So we're not going to do that again. We're going to stay right here. Or, the other things that your ego's doing, driving you to think that you're going to be okay and you're going to fix everything if you just have this surgery. You're going to be okay and you're going to fix everything if you just have this much money. You're going to be okay and fix everything if your partner just fixed their shit and got it together, because then your relationship would be good. It's their fault because they're just right. Sometimes we avoid responsibility. So you're also saying, though, with embodied intention, I choose relationships that reflect my integrity. So you're not in a relationship with somebody who is misaligned with that level of integrity, right? That's a big thing. right? If you're standing on your word and you're valuing the truth and you're seeking out the truth in society and in that stuff, and the person that's in your relationship is just like whatever, that's a misalignment of integrity. So how do you coexist, right? And so you want people that honor your boundaries and that show up when they say they're going to show up, and where the energetic balance is fairly consistently even, right? It's not about it being exactly 50-50 all the time. It's just that in the end of the day, it comes out even in the wash. How are you, Flory? So nice to see you. You entered at the perfect time because it gave me an opportunity to pause and take a sip. So happy to see you, love. I don't know why I look at the name. I'm pretty good. It's really cold here today. That would be my only, the only thing I'd really say anything about is that it's just cold right now. And that, that really tugs at me because of my nonprofit Hugs for Homeless. I can't imagine, like, we're going to have some really, really, really nasty temperatures. One night coming up, the bare temperature is minus 29 degrees Celsius. And then the with wind chill is minus 52. These are temperatures that people die. So I really hope to get more backpacks together and get them out in community to reach as many people as we can. So yeah. When are you planning on going? If you go in the summer, you'll be fine. If you go in July or August, but do take a rain jacket, like, or a windbreaker, like that kind of thing. And you might want to take a sweater, like a sweater that you can zip up and unzip or whatever, like one of those type of sweaters, because it can vary. But if you're going in July or August, you'll be fine. It can be very hot. It can be stinking hot, like rival Costa Rica humidity hot, especially Toronto. But anyway, let me know when you're going and I'll give you some tips, because Ontario's where I'm I'm actually from Ontario and just moved from Ontario back to Alberta. So yeah, hi star beings. Okay, so the other thing that embodiment is talking about is, or embodied intention sounds like, is I align my time, energy, and choices with my path. So you're walking your path. It's unfolding before you, and you're doing the actions, you're doing the things that are aligned with that. So for me, right, going to a party and getting smashed and having a hangover, that's not in alignment with me at all, right? For one, I don't drink alcohol at all. Like, I don't. There's a lot of, stuff that I can say about that, but that's not the point of today. So we're going to skip on by that. Thank you, love, for sharing and for the rose. Mwah. So the other thing that embodied intention sounds like is I stop negotiating with what drains me. Start paying attention to your energy, right? If you go around somebody and after you're around them, you feel like you just need a nap, assess that relationship. And I never tell people this means you have to go and, end relationships, but it may mean you need to evaluate the level of closeness that relationship has, right? If you think of yourself like a drop in water, and you know how you get those rings out when a pebble drops in a pond, right? And you get those rings out, you have layers of friendships. You have people that are really in your closest innermost circle. And those people they're trustworthy, they're loyal, dependable. The energetic exchange should be the same, right? They should be on the same wavelength as you. They should be encouraging your growth. They should be growing as well. They should be in the same energy, the same space. as they, start to change for whatever reason it is, the integrity isn't there, or, like you have to, the relationships, right? The relationships that you're bargaining with, right? And you don't want to be doing that. Yes, it did. Of course it did. It always wins. So the other one about embodied intention is, I walk my truth even when it costs me comfort, right? How many of us bite our tongue or compromise ourselves to keep the peace, right? How many of us are doing that? Are you someone that's doing that? Yes. Yep. I probably wouldn't, for you, September would be beautiful, Flory. It would be beautiful. And you're the one you should be choosing for. When you choose for you, then life chooses you, right? When you choose for you, then the things that are aligned for you align with you effortlessly, right? That's the way that it works. Things move easily when you align, when you're in alignment, right? When you're making the choices that are in alignment with your soul, 2, 3, 4 on the time too. But when you're doing that, you are actually putting yourself on the path, and we're meant to walk the path. There's things that we're meant to do, right? We didn't, and I say this repeatedly, we didn't come here to live the current human experience. We came here to bring the true human experience that we're meant to have by bringing marrying our spirit with our body and creating heaven on earth. We have all coded within us in our DNA. We have, these codes that are placed in there that are meant to awaken certain spots, that carry knowledge of specific things, right? Our DNA carries so much information, right? No, I don't. So we're meant to not compromise, and we're meant to stand in our truth even when it's uncomfortable. Look what happened with everybody during the sea thing that we had, a little while ago. Look what happened with that. All those people that said, I'm not getting that V thing. And now we're finding out that they were talking about putting this color of a box warning on it. But look at what happened to them when they stood their ground, when they said, we're not going to compromise, right? We're not going to bend over backwards, or we're not going to, we're going to trust ourselves, and we're going to stand in it, right? That's the person that stood there, even when the truth cost them comfort. Some people lost their jobs. Some people lost their relationships, their families, didn't see births, didn't see deaths, and they stood on that. And that's not manifestation. What that is embodiment, is when you stand on those things. You live as the person that values the truth. You choose the relationships that reflect your integrity. You align your time, your energy, and your choices with your path. You stop negotiating with what drains you, and you walk your truth even when it costs you comfort. Play on it, Flory. Play with it. Have fun with it. Embrace your little child, the inner child, right? Set it free. So you're going to place one hand on your heart, because, I make you do a practice every single time, because we have to do something. We can't just think it. We can't just feel it. We actually have to do it. We have to be it. We have to bring it. So hand on your heart, hand on your solar plexus. Okay. Close your eyes. Now, typically we're pretty elevated and our thoughts are pretty active. So we're going to want probably 3 deep breaths minimum. Now, when you take this deep breath, you're going to breathe in through your nose, all the way down into your tummy, all the way up to your chest. You're going to pause for that second. You're breathing in through your nose. And then you're going to exhale through your mouth long and slow. And as you exhale, you're going to want to sink into that space that comes up as you relax. Okay, so you want to really go into the space that slow breath is bringing. This is the break in your nervous system. So you should be doing breath work more often. Okay, so close your eyes and let's do 3 breaths like that. In, out, in, out. In, out. Now that you've slowed down and connected to your heart, ask yourself, what truth am I devoted to? What path am I choosing? If you feel your mind getting busy with thoughts, just take another breath, nice and slow and deep. Exhale really slow and sink into that space again. What belief no longer belongs to me? What identity am I stepping into? Now breathe nice and deep. Let it out nice and slow. Now repeat out loud. Remember, we're speaking the fire out. I commit to my living truth. You can envision the sun before you or a flame. I align my life with my integrity. I walk my path with clarity. Allow that to settle into your field. And then if you're feeling brave, you can always comment what came up for you with those questions. Okay. For me, the part that came up was what belief no longer belongs to me. That one that came up was that I'm small, because I know I'm not like that way. So what came up for you? I'm ready to live as my oversoul. Did that come up for you? Because this is how the new moon becomes real. This is what we're meant. This is the way that we're meant to harness the energy of the new moon, right? So this is a moment where many people feel activated, but they're unsure how to stabilize what they chose or chose. Sorry, what they chose. I don't know why it came out that way. What they chose. And this is where the embodiment work actually matters, because choosing the truth is one thing, but living it daily requires structure. It requires support. Thank you, TT. They require support and coherence, right? And this is the work that I offer. And this is just a statement. It's not a pitch. You can check out my free group, no cost to you. You can go check that out and see all of the activations. And thank you, Flory. Love you. You can check out all the activations. You can check out all the information that gets shared within that group that is there to help guide you. It is. You are lovable just being you, Flory, and I know that. I can feel your energy, right? I can feel into your field and I can feel your soul. And all of us. That's the biggest thing that they've done, is made us believe, and they used God and the Bible to do so, to convince us that we were inherently flawed right away. And if you're somebody that doesn't believe in the Bible or in any religion, because they do that within every religion, they incorporated the concept of that there's somebody outside of us that is meant to save us, or there's this somehow this hierarchy of souls, and there's bigger souls or better souls or whatever that is out there. And that's not it at all. And, you know, when you do look at the Bible, the one thing that stands out is the concept that you will do what I have done and greater. And that's what Yeshua came to teach, was that it was within. You didn't need government. You didn't need religion. You didn't need somebody outside of you. That the pathway to God was within, and to teach you how to live the way, right? The way that we're meant to live in the truth, right? So yeah, those that concept that we are flawed, or there's somebody that's going to save us, is how we spend a lot of money. You know, we spend a lot of money to fix all these things that we think are broken, and we spend a lot of money giving it to other people because they maybe can save us or fix us, right? The government polarizes and divides people, and then uses our empathy and our sympathy and our, you know, compassion to get us to pay for things that they have realistically created in order for you to pay for it. And they just weaponize us. And I know that at one point Elon Musk had said that, you know, that empathy, you know, he said something regarding empathy, but the point of it was that empathy can be weaponized, and it can. That's not to say that empathy is a bad thing. Empathy is a beautiful thing, but it can be weaponized, right? We have to still remain sovereign, and we still need to be discerning. The problem is that there's so much manipulation and stuff going on. Like, it's just absolutely incredible. Like, you'll hear on the news about these places flooding, and, you know, but then you'll see videos of people in those spaces and it's dry. Or you'll see, you know, somebody who is in a particular space where something really bad and violent and tragic happened, but he was also in another space where something like that happened, and another space like something like that happened, and another space where something like that happened. And you're like, wait a second, this is not adding up. Or you're seeing, like that, just things are not connecting. The veil is lowering. So we're seeing these inconsistencies and the distortions and the manipulation more easily. And we're meant to. We need to wake up to that. We need to start living that embodied truth, right? What we came here to do and be, we need to be doing it and being it. You waking up is important to wake up the people around you. And this isn't about you have to wake anybody up by doing anything special. It's not like I walk over to somebody and say, hey, did you know? And I start telling them everything and they're like, wow, amazing, I'm awake. That's not how it works. You become awake and then you stand in your truth, and the people around you see you standing in your truth, and they see the shift in your life, what happens when you embody your truth, and that makes them embody their truth. And the more that you're standing in your truth, the more that the veil lifts. So we start to see more things like what's going on right now, where the stuff's peeling back and the truth is coming out, and we're seeing that veneer shift, right? So you just have to pay attention, right? And the biggest thing is just remember, it's all a show. It's all that stuff that's going on. That's all a show. It's a pretty entertaining one at times, and they're trying to keep you scared and keep you focused and like thinking in terms of lack and stuff like that, right? But that stuff's happening so that we can create the new earth, and we create it by actually doing it, by becoming what it is that we need in order to have that. So this is the moment where many people feel activated, but they're unsure how to stabilize it, right? That's what I was telling you a moment ago. So just sit with it, know that you may need guidance, right? And there's nothing wrong with that. I don't give you guidance in the way that many other people will, because, I want you to learn what will open you up to remember things, so that, and then just embody those particular practices that will connect you with your oversoul and receive your own guidance. You are meant to be a sovereign being. You're not meant to need somebody to consistently help you heal, or to consistently help you evolve, or to consistently help you with your spirituality. Everything is within you. I'm just going to remind you of the practices that maybe you can adopt in your life, or certain key theories or practices that maybe you haven't remembered, that by remembering will guide you to living your truth. That's what I do. So we're coming up to solstice, and solstice is a big moment, and we need to be thinking in these next 2 days about these certain items. So this is our item list of things that we need to get clear with, right, over the next 2 days. So we need to be noticing where our actions are aligning or in conflict with your intention. Okay, so this is your opportunity to get real with yourself. Okay. It is also a time for you to watch how your body responds to, like, what your body is responding to with ease, and what your body is responding to with resistance, because it's coming up for you. You just have to pay attention to it, right? And many of us just aren't paying attention. We are not forcing change, right? This is not about forcing anything. If you're forcing it, it's not aligned, right? It's not. And that doesn't mean that some of the things that we take don't require bravery, or don't require a leap of faith, or don't require what feels like an element of risk taking. I didn't want to move away from my mom and my son and, my granddaughter and the rest of my, family in Ontario necessarily. Hang on a second, I'll get to that. I didn't want to move away, even further away from my son and grandsons in Nova Scotia, but I have a passion to help the homeless, and I had an opportunity to have a partner to combine with in this venture, and the partnership is in Alberta. So I moved for that, but everything aligned like so easily. It was just do. So I knew it was the right thing. That didn't mean that my heart wasn't like, oh my God, I don't want to go. And I still deal with a little bit of that when I'm here and I'm thinking about, like, it's been a while since I hugged my mom or since I hugged my son, right? My birthday passed, my son's birthday passed. We're coming up to, you know, a season when I may not celebrate Christmas, but I do see my family. So, you know, I'm lacking that now. But I made that choice. It's not that the choice wasn't aligned with me, because the choice was challenging, but I didn't have to force it, right? There's a significant difference with that. This, in the next 2 days, is a time for us to allow clarity to guide small, precise choices, right? And we're supposed to be sitting in awareness in the present moment and making those decisions that are the most aligned for us with whatever's showing up. That's it, right? That's you living your truth, living your embodiment. But from that awareness space, it's just the problem is many of us are living way out there in the future, or way back there in the past, because our ego's running the bus. So it's looking out there, and society has us all looking out there. So between those two poles, right? Or something's made us afraid because it's in society and it's being pushed in our face. Turn the TV off. It's television programming. It's media manipulation, right? If you're looking at it, look at it with that knowledge that it's a show, and they are putting that in your face because they want you to think and feel a certain way. Okay. You also want to let integrity be your compass the next couple of days. Allow it to guide you. All right. Sagittarius rewards honesty, not effort. So you just have to be honest. So if you feel called to walk this embodiment path with guidance, I have different ways that you can do that with me. You can join one of my membership places. I have one that's free, the Temple of Light. Like I said, I post things in there all the time that will help you. But I also have, starting at $11.11 Canadian. So we're not like American or British prices here. $11.11 Canadian for the Ascension Pathway. And then it gets $22.22 for the Guardian, the Ascension Gateway, and then the Guardian Pathway. The Guardian Pathway keeps everything from the Ascension Gateway, but also includes all of its stuff, which I post deeper content within that group. And you get a live. And the live that you're getting this month is on Monday. And that live is how to detect distortion lines in real time and what to do about it. So that's going to be a really awesome course. And then the next tier is the Christic Mastery Circle, and that's $44.44. And you get everything from the two groups below, plus another live education event. And this one here is going to be the Divine Law of Embodiment. So that's what that class is going to be. Now, if you want to do a drop-in and don't want to join the groups, you can drop in for the classes at $22.22 per class. And you get all the stuff that the members do, but you just don't get the group. Or you can just join the group and get the class as a part of the group. In January, the Christic Mastery Circle education for that month will be $44.44, but that's because it's going to be a special education in that it's a 3-day event. And it is the Christic Wealth Activation series. So because it's 3 days, that's why it's the price that it is. You are also welcome to explore the Bridge to Light when you are ready for deeper transformation. I'm starting the Bridge to Light Phase 2 on January 9th. If you book into it before Christmas, you get the Bridge to Light Phase 1 absolutely free, which is the same price course. So it's 2 for 1 value, and other stuff like that. Hello. And you can always send me out a message, or you can go to my website, which is linked in my profile. And in that website, there's a free clarity call. So you can sign up for a free clarity call and we can talk about what that looks like. And you can also just continue to walk with me for free here, and we'll walk towards solstice together. There's no pressure. It's only resonance, right? That's what I'm teaching is embodiment, alignment, resonance, vibration, like all of those things. How to connect to Mother Gaia, how to connect to the living sky, how to use those energies, help those energies, work with those energies, however you want to place it. So this new moon is not about becoming someone new. It is about remembering who you already are. Let truth be your compass, let integrity be your anchor, and let embodiment be your path. All right. I told you I had some other stuff I wanted to talk about on embodiment. And I also said that we were going to talk about true sidereal and its expression through Jupiter, because we talked about Mars yesterday. So I'm just giving you a little bit of education about what Christic astrology is like. It uses true sidereal, and then, like I said, it's removed the distortion out of the planets and the signs and the rest of the astrological part of it. So it's using the living sky in the way that it's meant to. And when we do astrological readings, they're actual soul stream readings, which are different. It's not a personality thing. That's not what it is. So we're going to look at Jupiter. If you don't know your natal chart through True Sidereal, you can go to masteringthezodiac.com. There's a free chart there. So you can check it out. If you don't know your birth time, you just do it with that unknown, and you just won't receive your rising sign, because that changes every couple of hours. So it's really hard to tell somebody, well, you're this rising sign when it's changing like that. The only thing you may have to consider in the time of your birth, and I'm pretty sure Mastering the Zodiac covers that when you get your natal chart, is it may tell you that, where did my brain go with this? Oh my gosh. That there was a transit on that day. So if you don't know your birth time, it could say something like, say, the moon moved from Gemini into Cancer. And so it'll give you both of those, saying that depending on what time you were born, morning or evening, let's say the transit was at 3 p.m. So depending on what time you were born, you could be either of these. So it will give you both readings, and then you get to determine which one aligns with you. And then you can look at this information and you can apply the Christic astrology to it, which is then taking out all of the distortions that are written into mainstream astrology. Like I said, all the negativities of all of those signs. So if you're identifying under the sign of Virgo, let's say, and now you have to be this perfectionist who's highly critical and who has OCD and who serves and serves and serves some more, because that's how they make Virgo appear through mainstream astrology. And that's not the case. So I take that stuff out of it. All right. So Jupiter is the expansion gate. And what Jupiter is about is how the soul grows, learns, blesses, and finds meaning. It's a lot different than how they have Jupiter now. Like, they do talk about expansion, so they keep that truth in there, but they talk about abundance and other stuff like that. But they don't include about how the soul's growing or learning and also finding meaning. So Jupiter reveals how the soul expands. It governs growth, opportunity, and blessing. It's meaning, belief systems, and worldview. It's teaching, wisdom, and higher learning. It's faith, optimism, and moral compass, where life opens doors and says yes. That's Jupiter energy. It's beautiful energy. So if Mars is how you act and Venus is how you receive, right? So the opposites, right? That the masculine and feminine energies, right? So how you give with Mars or how you receive with Venus. Jupiter is how you grow and trust life. So we're going to look at how it moves or how it represents the interpretation for Jupiter. We're going to look at the interpretation of Jupiter through each of the 12 gates and the 13th sign, so that you can see how it shows up. So if you don't know your stuff, go find out what your chart stuff is. All of these lives are broadcast on YouTube and, for the most part, Facebook. So you can always go and check out the replay there if you wanted to go back and check and see what the sun or the Jupiter or Taurus or whatever, whichever episode. I said Taurus, but Jupiter or Mars or the sun, you can check those ones out. Okay, so how expansion, meaning, and blessing expressed through each gate. Jupiter in Aries expands through courage and initiation. It Aries grows by taking risks and leading boldly. Blessings arrive through decisive action. Faith strengthens through self-trust. Aries. So that's if your Jupiter is in the sign of Aries through True Sidereal. Jupiter in Taurus expands through stability and embodiment. It grows, your soul grows by cultivating patience and value. Blessings arrive through consistency and care, and faith strengthens through grounded trust. Jupiter in Gemini. So Jupiter is at home in both Gemini and Sagittarius. In Gemini, Jupiter expands through learning and change, or you expand, somebody that has Gemini and Jupiter would expand through learning and change. They grow by curiosity, study, and dialogue. Blessings arrive through communication and ideas. Faith strengthens through understanding. Jupiter in Cancer expands through emotional safety and belonging, grows by nurturing self and others. Blessings arrive through home, family, and care. Faith strengthens through emotional security. Right? Cancer is the mom of the astrological wheel, with the opposite being Capricorn. The way that their energies are represented. Jupiter in Leo expands through creative self-expression, grows by leading from the heart. Blessings arrive through visibility and joy, and faith strengthens through confidence. Jupiter in Virgo expands through service and refinement, grows by improving systems and skills. Blessings arrive through usefulness and integrity. Faith strengthens through humility and devotion. Jupiter in Libra expands through partnership and harmony, grows by cooperation and justice. Blessings arrive through balance and diplomacy. Faith strengthens through relational trust. Jupiter in Scorpio expands through depth and transformation. It grows by confronting truth and shadow. Blessings arrive through inner power and honesty. Faith strengthens through emotional courage. Jupiter in Ophiuchus expands through alchemical healing and remembrance, grows by releasing distortions and restoring wholeness. Blessings arrive through transformation in service to truth, and faith strengthens through embodied gnosis. I might have Jupiter in Ophiuchus. It's a possibility. I don't think so, though. I think anyway, I have to look that up. I can't remember. So Jupiter in Sagittarius expands through exploration and vision, grows by seeking truth and higher meaning. Blessings arrive through travel, study, and teaching. Faith strengthens through belief in possibility. Jupiter in Capricorn expands through discipline and mastery, grows by responsibility and long-term effort. Blessings arrive through earned authority, and faith strengthens through commitment. That big dad energy. Jupiter in Aquarius expands through innovation and collective ideals, grows by serving humanity and future vision. Blessings arrive through originality and reform. Faith strengthens through unity consciousness. And Jupiter in Pisces expands through compassion and spiritual surrender, grows by trusting intuition and divine flow. Blessings arrive through empathy and imagination, and faith strengthens through devotion. So Jupiter shows where growth feels natural and supported. It governs your belief systems and how meaning is constructed. When you take Jupiter plus your sun sign, it reveals your life purpose expansion. When you take Jupiter plus the moon, it reveals emotional faith and hope. And when you take Jupiter and Mars, it shows how effort multiplies. So this teaches you where life opens easily, where beliefs expand or limit you, and how trust affects the outcomes. So Jupiter is the teacher self. It represents expansion and authority, wisdom and philosophy, faith and optimism, blessing and abundance, and higher truth. The key words for Jupiter are growth, meaning, blessing, faith, wisdom, and expansion. So there, how do you like hearing about Jupiter? Do you know your Jupiter sign? I'm going to have to look. Oops. Just scrolling back to my chart that I have. Oh my goodness, that's a long way down. Sorry, I'm just looking for it. Not that it's necessary. It's for me later on, but I have something else I wanted to talk about anyway. So we'll talk about that. And I think mine's in Sagittarius. Midheaven in Sagittarius. Nope, Jupiter in Aquarius. Expansion through community. Yes, that makes sense with what I do, broadcasting and in this type of an environment, right? It makes sense. And it makes sense that it's Aquarius as well. Really, it does. Okay, so let's look at some more information on embodiment. Okay, we'll look at how that is I have some information to teach on it. Okay. Well, there's no accidents, so that's all about my other thing. I thought I had the notes up. I apologize. There, I found it. Jupiter in Cancer. That's beautiful. Okay, perfect. Let's scroll back to our Jupiter in Cancer and read what that says. Because you're the mom, right? So emotional safety and belonging makes sense, right? And you'll see the patterns when they come up when you, because those patterns come up for that growth, right? So the emotional safety and belonging is key. And what you need to do is nurture yourself to begin with and then nurture others. And you do that, right? You definitely are nurturing others. Blessings are going to arrive through your home, through your family, and through care. So if you're working in a position where you are caring for others, that would be a situation, or volunteering in care roles and stuff like that. That's where blessings are going to flow to you, and then your faith strengthening through that emotional security. So when you feel secure where your emotional energy is, that's when your faith strengthens in life, which is really, really cool. Yeah. Me, on the other hand, this innovation and collective ideals, serving humanity and future vision. Blessings arrive through originality and reform, and strength strengthens through unity consciousness. They're very different how it shows up in the different energies. No. Thanks, but I'm good. I am not a puppet. All right, so let's talk about embodiment. Yep. Yeah, it makes sense that you would do that. Like, let's talk about embodiment a little bit more. So some of the stuff that I was channeling is looking at, I've been talking about identity and embodiment, and I feel like sometimes it's a little bit muddy, what that means or what the difference or how you embody in an identity. And I say that, one, you have to be clear about what you're identifying as, and make sure that that is the true identity of such, because sometimes we have misconceptions about what something actually has or what you have to do to have it, right? So that could be a misalignment in a belief system or some conditioning that you receive from society. So for instance, if you want to be a famous musician, but you think in order to be a famous musician, you must sell your soul, then if that's what you believe, then if you are somebody that would want to sell their soul, you're never going to get there because your integrity is not matching with that. You have to either align with what you believe you have to do, or you have to align that with your belief. So yes, there are great musicians out there who are not corrupted. It's not, there's a lot of independent artists and stuff like that. So know that you can be very wealthy in your life, but what are you looking for, right? Are you looking for that lifestyle that is portrayed as the lifestyle that the rich and famous currently have? Like, is that what you're seeking out in your life? Do you want that type of lifestyle? So you have to get real with yourself and be like, okay, so maybe I want to make really genuine, beautiful music and I don't want to sell my soul to do it. And so I can be an independent artist and I can do that. And also, I don't want that type of a lifestyle where, I'm trading real friends for all of these people to be around me so that I can be out drinking and partying. And, I can buy all kinds of things to fill spaces in rooms that I can't even go, like, that have too much space. I can't even go in all my places. Like, if, when you think about the Kid Rock song, I want to be a rock star, right? Is that what you want? Is that what your vision of an aligned life for you looks like? And if it is, if that's what you want, and if in order to get that, your belief is that you have to do these things, then that's the alignment that you have to make. So that's some of the teaching that I've been teaching about embodiment, that it's not about just affirming something. Embodiment isn't about, it doesn't stop with the thoughts. It doesn't stop with the speech. It doesn't stop with the feeling. It's the actual lived experience of it. I need a number 7. It's almost all gone. Sad day. So an identity is simply a set of assumptions you hold about who you are, what is possible for you, what is required for things to happen, and what feels safe or unsafe to receive. That's the identity. And until you feel safe to receive what you want to receive in the identity that you're adopting, or that you feel that you are actually embodying the components of what is required. So for me, I have a company on Sha'Ryah, Pathway of Ascension. I feel that I am here to teach the truth of who you are and how you're meant to live and all of these things. I've talked about that, right? Teach you embodiment and all of these things, teach you the way, the Christic way, teach you about Christic astrology. Like, those are things that I believe. But if I don't show up and do a live, or if I don't show up and create content, if I don't have a website, or if I don't have I haven't done any of those things, then how am I embodying what I say I wanted to? right? Like, you know, some people are just wretched human beings. Sorry. Some people are just terrible, terrible, terrible. Anyway. Yeah. Okay. We don't have to react. We just have to have boundaries, right? So I just reported them and then blocked them because that's just completely inappropriate. All right. So when an identity is embodied, the actions flow naturally from it, right? When an identity is not embodied, then the actions feel forced or inconsistent or draining. I used to talk about this back when I was doing trauma healing and, working with mental health and trauma and stuff like that, is about the words that we use and the language and the way that we identify. So if my identity is fractured from, my traumas, and I see myself with that distorted view, and I just see someone fat and lazy and worthless, and that's what I see in my head. How do I then get up every day and work out? Right? What am I working out for? I'm fat. I'm lazy. And cancel that. I know that's not what I'm saying about myself. I don't agree with that. Right? So you have to look at what your self identity is, right? And get clear with that. What do you think of yourself honestly? And if that isn't formed in love, isn't formed in acceptance, if it's formed, from trauma, right? If you think that you're a POS, or you think that you're this or you're that, and it's coming from a very negative space, know somebody else put that there. It wasn't God and it wasn't you. It wasn't your oversoul. There's no way you would ever speak that way to yourself. You just would not. Right? So that's something that's coming from someone else, and your ego or the voices in your head may be echoing it, but that's not your oversoul. Your oversoul will never speak to you like that. Right? So look at what your identity is of you, and also look at the identity of where you want to be in life. Let's say you wanted to be a spiritual teacher and have a big channel and make lots of money and, travel to all these beautiful spiritual sites and really help bring new earth into form, and you have this big dream. You have to be taking steps in that direction. You have to embody the person that is. If you think that person has to be super organized, and that person has to have, has to do so much production, and that person has to, whatever the have-tos are, you need to identify, are those accurate have-tos, or are those distortions that are still part of trauma or society and its misguided stuff, right? Because of the disconnect or the distortions or the manipulations and lies that are around us, so that we stay disconnected from our soul. You can't be messed with when you are sovereign and connected to your soul. People can't take you by your feelings and, influence you to do something that you don't agree with or that doesn't align with you. When you clear the traumas and you can start feeling your body, then you can start feeling distortions through your body. And if you're not doing that, we need to go to Bridge to Light Phase 1, which is on the website, or definitely go join some of my membership groups, or get on a call with me and see how I can help you with that. So you don't embody an identity by doing the actions. Okay. It's not that simple. You do the actions because the identity already feels true and safe. Right? That whole fake it till you make it's not the way alignment goes. We're not faking nothing. There's no faking it. Right? You need what is aligned with you. What is aligned with your soul? It's not forced habits equals forced outcome or equals the outcome, right? Identity is the internal permissions and constraints, the natural behavior, the outcome, right? There's nothing forced in that. You have to know what your permissions are that you've aligned yourself with and what constraints you have adopted somewhere that maybe is blocking you from receiving what you're meant to receive. It's that identity and awareness of it, and then living the truth of what it means. So if you look at this like a marathon running, if somebody wants to go out and run a marathon, they have to start running. They have to have a plan, right? If you're running a 26-kilometer marathon, you can't do that from a sedentary lifestyle where you've never ran a day. You can't wish that into existence. You can't think it into place or think it into being. You have to get out there and start doing it, right? But habits are not the cause. Habits are the byproduct of being in your alignment, right? You easily will do the things that you are meant to do when you are aligned with your truth, because it's your alignment. It's your truth, right? Nobody has to make me go watercolor, like go do watercolors. I'll go do it right now. You don't have to make me do that. That's a habit that I easily adopt because it is aligned with me. I love painting watercolors. It's my number one hobby now. And I say that now because I have had other number one hobbies. For a long time when I was doing my healing, singing was my number one hobby. I just sang karaoke and I sang, and that beautiful energy here just allowed it to push out. Yeah, it all starts with the truth, right? The truth is what sets you free. When you stop lying to yourself or you stop believing the lies that are being sold, that's when you set yourself free. So many people get stuck thinking that they need to reverse engineer their identity and that they can do that by discipline alone, but that doesn't work long term, right? You can't, like I said, you can't fake it till you make it. At some point, you're going to realize that's not in alignment. I tried doing that. I did that with trauma healing and with all of that for a really long time. Right? I was putting so much effort out. I was giving more and more and more and more. And if I just show up, if I just keep showing up, if I show up more, if I produce more, if I create more, if I do more, someone's going to align. If I give it away for free, someone's going to pay because they're going to realize the value that I'm providing. I was in that mental loop because of my incorrect programming that was installed. In the beliefs or the values or what I had associated with that particular identity. And it wasn't aligned with me. So, and it's not necessarily that it's not, the whole thing needs to be thrown out. It could be pieces that need to be tweaked to put it into alignment. So when people say, I want what that person has, they are unconsciously importing that entire identity, right? They think in order for me to have what that person has, I have to be and do what that person's doing. But that's not necessarily the case, right? Because you think that identity is what produced it. They think that they have to adopt the values and the compromises and the environments and the sacrifices. So like I said, back to that, if you want to be a famous musician, you have to sell your soul. Your nervous system's going to reject that because you're like, I'm not going to accept that identity. Although eventually maybe you will, and then you would accept it, right? And that's why a lot of times people will self-sabotage at the edge of expansion because they want that. It is in alignment with them, but they've got that little distorted thought pattern that they think in order to have that, they have to be that, and that is not in alignment with them. And it's not the case. You have to break the mold, right? Don't be afraid to be a water phoenix instead of a fire phoenix. That's what my book tomorrow that releases this, Tiana and the Phoenix Who Refuses to Burn, is about a phoenix who likes the water, not fire. So he chooses to just be him and to be a different kind of phoenix. So, so what I teach is embodiment. I don't teach you to embody the identity of the person that you see that has what you want or anything like that. You embody the identity that produces the outcome that is in alignment with your values. So the identity isn't a single fixed thing, it's a chosen architecture. So you have three layers that many people confuse as being one. You have your outcome identity, and this could be something like, I am someone whose work reaches millions. You have a process identity, which could be something along the lines of how someone like me moves through the world. And then you have your three, which is the belief constraints. And this is, what do I think must be true in order for that to happen? So most people acquire three, right? All of those things in three about what I think must happen for, like, what I must think must be true in order for that to happen. You're just acquiring that from your family, your friends, from culture, from school, from industry, without even questioning it. Right? We haven't even questioned, is that what I have? Is that how I have to be in order to have that? Or can I be me and have that in this way, like a water phoenix, right? So if someone believes I have to hustle to have $1 million company, that belief creates that chronic urgency. Your sympathetic nervous system is in dominance, and it's an identity as someone who survives through effort. So guess what you're going to have to do? It doesn't even matter if you add that, and I want ease, right? You might be saying, I want ease, but that doesn't matter, because you're not going to get it with ease, because your belief system is that that person works for it. They hustle for it. They grind for it, right? So if you're on that pathway, then you need to identify, is that truth, or is that what you've put in place because of what somebody has told you, or because of some way that somebody's living not in alignment? You can get things by hustle. I had a $150,000 a year job working as a nurse when I was at the end of my career there. And so you can get it by hustle. I also burn out and had a lot of illnesses that I had to overcome. And, I had to work through a lot of stuff to overcome what happened when with my burnout. But I think it was more of a breakthrough because of where I ended up after everything. So there's something that you need to notice that's important, is that, so if we'll look at the other aspect, right? So we'll look at this from the other point. So if they say, I want ease, right? That's all they want. Their embodied identity is, I went on that. If they went on ease, then I already said that. So if somebody believes that in order to have $1 million company, they must be aligned and consistent. So I believe that to have $1 million company, I must be aligned and consistent. So what that belief creates is a tolerance for spaciousness, because it's aligned to me. It's not aligned to somebody else, right? I need to be aligned to me, and that's when alignment flows to me. And I just have to be consistent. That doesn't mean that I have to be consistent in the sense of, I have to maintain 20 hours of social media presence per week, and I need to put out, hundreds of pieces of content. It's not about that. This isn't coming from an overflow of, an overabundance of energy being expended. This isn't productive, like a production thing. This is about being in flow and sitting in that space. So this allows for that patience without compounding, because you also give yourself freedom for flexibility. Yes, I am consistent. Yes, I have structure. Yes, I show up. But I also allow myself the opportunity to move things around without guilt. I allow myself to take rest without feeling guilt. There's a lot of things that, are incorporated within that. There has to be an element of flow, which is the feminine energy, and then the structure, which is the masculine energy. Both of those identities require structure. or contain requirements, right? It's just that one, because there's no identity that does not exist without some structure to it. The difference is not structure versus no structure. The difference is what structure feels safe and true. So, you might think, in order for me to have a award-winning company or a big company or make lots of money, that you may have to go out in public all the time, right? And maybe that's not true. We have this beautiful internet that's available now that we can connect to people all around the world. And I've been doing an online business for 4 years now. So do I have to go into people's homes, or do people have to come into, say, a retreat type space in order to benefit and learn from me? No, they don't. Can they? Sure, they can, but that's not necessary in order to make money or to be, abundant or profitable. So a lot of times, spiritual teachers will tell you that embodiment means no conditions. But that's not how reality works, because every identity contains conditions. Embodiment is choosing conditions that match your values and your nervous system capacity. So the deepest layer of embodiment is not habits or beliefs. The deepest level of embodiment, or the deepest layer, is what your system believes it is allowed to have without collapse. So if you think in your mind, if you're a company and you're doing your metrics and you're like, I could handle, stores have capacity measurements. But if you're somebody and you're like, I could handle speaking to a group of 10, that's what you're thinking that your nervous system could handle. So that's what you're going to get. You're not going to speak to a group of 500 if you think that your nervous system would collapse under the weight of that kind of energetic exchange, that kind of conversation, right? I think I can talk to hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of people without an issue, that with my nervous system having issue with that, right? So you can only embody an identity that your nervous system believes is survivable. That's a key thing to really integrate or take away from today. So that is why two people can say affirmations repeatedly and end up with completely different results. Because one knows in their mind they have accepted that identity. They can embody what that identity has. Whereas the other person feels like they can't. So I used to have the little kid syndrome. And I explained this to my partner in Hugs for Homeless. And what that little kid syndrome is that when you're a child that's experienced a lot of trauma and neglect, and as I spoke about earlier, not understanding your emotions or how to manage them and things like that. There were numerous times throughout my career. I mean, I pushed myself anyway, but that's my Aries rising that does that. And that's also against my alignment, right? Because it wasn't aligned with me. That's why there had to be a force to do it. But nonetheless, there were many times when I would go into, let's say, an interview. And I went in on this interview one time, and it was for this big, huge management position. And I was in management at the time. But this was managing home care, and they were talking about all these people that you were managing and all these responsibilities. And I was like, who am I to be sitting at this table? Because I felt like a little kid at an adult table is literally how I felt. And you can say that that is imposter syndrome, but it's not that. What it is that there are many things when I was a child that I was given too soon. So I felt very much like an adult too soon in a lot of ways. But as a child, I also didn't get taught emotional maturity and all of those things. So I had a lot of things inside me that felt very much like a child. So when I would sit in a room with other people who felt more like maybe they didn't have the same kind of childhood as me, I would feel like a little kid at that table and like I didn't belong. But it was more of a child thing, not an imposter thing, which is interesting. And now that I've moved beyond that, so that's no longer affecting me, because now I connect with my emotions. And how are you? How are you? You got plans for your new moon? So when someone says, I want to embody being wealthy, famous, powerful, or influential, I can say it, influential, the real questions are, what do you believe? Oh my goodness, my mommy. Hi, Mom. Aw. This one's asking more for clarity and direction, truth, taking action, rather than manifesting, like doing the wishy thing. Anyway, so maybe you'll have some time later on. Alrighty, so sorry, saw my mom pop by. So when somebody says, I want to embody being these things, hi, Braden, how are you doing? You have to ask yourself, what do I believe happens to people like that? Cheers. I just had a big drink too. What do I believe I would lose if I became that? Because maybe you do. Maybe you think stepping into that space would mean that you would lose friends or you would lose whatever it is, right? Oh, that's so cute, right? So look at those things. What is something that you feel that you might lose if you become that? And then what behaviors do I associate with people who have that? Those are the things you want to look at. So identity work is not about adding traits. It's about removing unconscious vetoes. All right. So your embodiment means, right? I am no longer trying to become someone. I am allowing myself to operate from the assumptions, permissions, and nervous system state of someone for whom this is natural. So I'm living as I naturally should. And that is embodying the identity of the person that has those things, right? So for me, I am in my sanctuary. I am in my beautiful home. I am teaching things that are aligned with me. I am living a life that is not forced. It is beautiful and calm and peaceful and settled. And I have both my companies, it's beautiful. It's aligned. It's not, there's not this, feeling like I have to force anything. And that's where we're meant to get, right? This is how my life should be. This is normal. So you do not manifest what you want, you manifest what you're willing to normalize. Okay. So when you speak about yourself, say, as a creator with a deep stream of knowledge, what matters is not the cosmic framing, but the practical truth. In that sense, you're choosing an identity of someone who is teaching, creating, transmitting insight, consistency over coercion, and alignment over force, right? So embodiment means I don't have to become more to take that or anything. It's just staying congruent and having practices like breath work or meditation, because I need to balance my nervous system to be able to hold the capacity of the growth that happens, right? And that's what we have to do. It's the same thing as the marathon runner has to consistently run a little further to get up to that 26 kilometers. It doesn't happen from a sedentary space to just boom, you're out running a marathon. That's not something that you can do by dreaming about it and wishing it and then just getting up and doing it. It doesn't happen that way. No, you have to be it. So let me see. What else did I want to talk about? So when you're making your decisions, you're going to make your decisions from a regulated nervous system, not from reactionary, like not from being in a reactionary space, not from fear, not from confusion, not from panic. Did I say lack? Not from lack, right? You want to be in that regulated space. Okay. You are not chasing, you are not bracing or overriding yourself. Right? You shouldn't feel like you have to do those things in order for that to come to you, whatever you're anticipating coming to you. And you are not performing a version of yourself that you are going to become later. It's not about fake it till you make it. This is about just being who you are, aligned, and just walking that pathway. So you are occupying a state and then teaching from inside it. And that matters, right? You're living your truth and teaching people how to live that truth through that embodiment by what they witness in you. That's how we help people around us. It's not by going over and saying, hey, so you know what you need to do? This is what you need to do. You need to, like, anyone in your life that you go and you tell, I'm going to tell you what you need to do, they're probably going to be not listening to you. And if they do listen to you, they probably aren't going to do what you say. There's a few that might actually take some sound advice from somebody, but for the most part, they don't, right? They don't listen, right? You have to make that decision here and then do it, right? So there are not every think about where I want to go with this. Not every time that you feel that something is not in alignment or not perfect, I guess, right? Like if you're thinking about, I'm living my truth, maybe you think something's not quite aligned with your truth. Not every awareness of refinement is a belief that something is wrong. Okay. Just because something may not be completely aligned for you, that may not stop your stream of money, let's say, from coming in. So for example, let's say you've been surfing too much on your phone and you need to look at your device habits, right? That's not in alignment with you to be surfing on your phone, but that's not going to stop the stream of income from coming in, right? Like it's not taking you completely out of alignment, right? It's just something that comes to your awareness for you to identify. And it's either you're moving your belief system to acquire that so it's not out of alignment with you, or you're removing that so that you stay in integrity with your belief system. So the dysregulation signal is, I am not enough yet. I must change to be safe or worthy. The intelligence signal is coming from a different space. It's, I can feel the next calibration that would make this even more coherent. So you start meditating more, maybe, because that's what you feel is the step that you can take to make yourself more coherent, more in alignment with your truth. So you're doing the habit because it's just naturally aligned with that. You're not doing something just because to force yourself to try to be that, because you think you have to do or be something in order to be worthy or get something. So embodiment does not mean stasis either. It is coherence while moving. And that distinction is critical. Okay. So when you want your nervous system regulated, but you also want your identity to settle, right? We're not chasing it all the time. We're not chasing a new identity. You're embodied in your truth, and then you're living from it. So when your identity shouldn't require this constant monitoring in order for it to stay intact. You're not checking yourself daily to go, am I aligned today? Or you're not sitting there going, okay, so how do I balance everything? What do I got to shift? What do I got to remove? What do I got to place where? Oh my God, this is just like, you're forcing it. You're not negotiating with guilt or urgency or collapse. Those are important. Your day has rhythm, your output has honesty, and your rest has permission, right? That's embodiment. It's as simple as that. And I know that might seem like it's not all that simple, but it truly is when you get to it, right? So when we're in embodiment, growth does not come from effort, it comes from capacity. Capacity expands when safety expands. So what do we have to do? We have to figure out what it is that is in our bodies that's still keeping us aligned with things that made us unsafe. So if you had trauma when you were a child and you haven't dealt with that trauma, then there's energy stored in your body that makes you feel unsafe, and you need to deal with that, right? You need to heal that. You need to metabolize it, integrate it, transmute it, transfigure it. There's something that needs to be done. So it's not about what do I need to fix or do because you've went through that space. It now is what becomes safe to hold that wasn't before, because I have moved myself into that grounded, safe space, right? Are you doing breath work? Are you journaling? Are you looking at your shadows? Are you moving the energy through your body? Those things are what we get to, and then the embodiment stage happens. So if you're not doing that, you need to be working on those elements first. So you're not peeling back these layers because you're incomplete. There was never anything wrong with you. You were never flawed. You were never unworthy. You were never undeserving. You were born into this world perfect, but the world was flawed, and you were unfortunately raised by individuals who had flaws, and so on and so forth. So what you're doing is you're allowing the layers to be removed because your system's now metabolizing more truth, more responsibility, more reach, that type of stuff, right? My brain just went dry. My brain just went dry. Just like my teacup. Good thing I have some water. So what we're trying to do is live from congruence. We're trying to live inside ourselves without fragmentation. It's not this harmonization is not control. It's a beautiful relationship, right? It's a relationship. So I'm not telling you, like when I'm teaching you about the celestial bodies and true sidereal and stuff like that, I'm not teaching you to obey celestial bodies. I'm teaching you to listen, to respond, and to attune to the energies that are present. That's what we're doing with true sidereal or with Christic astrology, right? So just like embodiment is not discipline, it is attunement to self. So embodiment is not about doing life correctly. It is about being in right relationship with your own energy, time, and truth. Okay. So if you're interested in concepts like that, stick around on my channel. I've talked a lot about that. We're at almost 4 o'clock. I got to get him going before it's too late to go and do that. And I also need to check and see if I need to unlock my gate today. Go check out my channel. Go join the groups. Go grab the books. Also, just before I go, these are the unlikely heroines. We have Tiana, Parisa, Sha'Ryah, and Mariah. And the next Tiana book is coming out on December 21st, along with these are the Luminous Souls books. So we have the Golden Sunbeam, we have Starlight Whispers, we have Celestial Echoes, Radiant Hearts, Cosmic Reflections, and the next book that's coming out is titled Infinite Wonders, The Universe Has No End. So those are dropping on December 21st. You can get them on Amazon, or you can pick up the ebook at my website. Also, if you are in the giving mind and have a few dollars that you can give, please go and donate to Hugs for Homeless so we can get more backpacks out into community. Or if you know corporations that are looking to do team building activities, check out Kits for a Cause, and you can see Hugs for Homeless there, and you can do a team building thing through Kits for Cause for Hugs for Homeless. I love you guys. Have a beautiful weekend. I will see you Sunday, I believe, at some point. I'm not sure for how long we're going to go live, but I'm at least going to go live for a little bit on solstice. And there'll be, of course, lots of content that I'll be putting out over that time frame. Although I do suggest that you get your practices and whatever it is that you want to do, and then spend solstice a bit more in reflection rather than involved in a lot of outward stuff like interactions with people or public stuff, or like going to parties and things. Anyway, love you. I got to go get a whole bunch of warm clothes on so that I can get outside with my dog and walk him before it gets too dark. So I love you guys. Have a wonderful night, and I will see you later. If you're not seeing me on Sunday, I'll see you on Monday right back here, and we'll do the celestial outlook and also embodiment talk, right? Because we're all about embodiment. All right. Love you guys. Have a great day.